Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be doing another blind taste test rankings video. Now, the way these videos work, for anybody that's not seen one of our previous blind taste test rankings videos, is we have 4 cups of coffee over here, and we have 4 bags of coffee over here. We're trying to identify which of these cups is which of these bags based off of taste alone. Then we're going to be ranking them in order of our least favorite to our most favorite. And there's a theme behind each and every one of these videos. And the theme behind this video is trying Banibeans for the first time, as they're a coffee roaster that was suggested to us by Uluman. So shout outs to and thank you to Uluman for the suggestion. Banibeans only recently started shipping to the United States, and in celebration they were briefly offering free shipping, and that felt like the perfect opportunity to try them out for ourselves. So let's go ahead and introduce the coffees that will be featured in today's video, starting with the Bombe, a natural processed Ethiopian coffee. Next we have the Kamvara, a wash processed Kenyan coffee. Then we have the Keramo, a wash processed Ethiopian coffee. And last we have the Luis Anibal, a honey processed Colombian coffee. So let's go ahead and move these out of the way for right now. And as always, none of these cups are labeled anywhere except for on the bottom. We just like to shuffle them around for good measure, and that does give us an opportunity to discuss what we have on our hands here today. And it is kind of interesting because we have 2 washed and 2 non-wash processed coffees. And then we have 2 Ethiopian coffees, a Kenyan coffee, and then a processed Colombian coffee. So in theory, this should be an extremely easy blind taste test video. But given that I have no familiarity with this coffee roaster, it could end up being a little tricky, as I kind of imagine, based off of what I've heard from this coffee roaster, that they're probably pretty light and on the cleaner side of things. So Banibeans is a very well received coffee roaster based out of Slovenia, and I do have some pretty high expectations for them going into this video, but not entirely sure what to expect. I feel like the main reason of this video is going to be trying them out for the first time and seeing which coffee leaves the best first impression. So we will do one more shuffle right here, and we will start with this cup. All right, actually, I feel like it'd be easier if we put all these cups right here so we can order on this side. All right, cup number 1. Okay. And I've already kind of proved my theory that this might be a little bit more tricky than initially expected, as this coffee is pretty clean, though I could see it being pretty much every coffee but the Kenyan coffee. So I feel like the Kenyan coffee is going to be probably the biggest giveaway, maybe the natural processed Ethiopian coffee. So I basically narrowed this one down to being one of 2, as it offers great clarity, but really nice intensity as well. Okay, pretty nice. Very positive first impression. So obviously it's in first place for right now. We will move on to coffee number 2. Let's give this one a shot. Yep, and as I had mentioned that the Kenya is going to be very easy to pick out. This one right here is definitely the Kenya. It's quite nice. It's got really good clarity to it and some really nice sweetness in general. Definitely offering a fair bit of the bright characteristics and the berry characteristics to it, though I'm actually quite impressed by it. I think I liked this one just slightly more, as it felt a little cleaner than the Kenya. Nonetheless, 2 really positive first impressions from these coffees. We'll move on to coffee number 3. Okay, this one right here is the natural processed Ethiopian coffee. And once again, I said that those might be the 2 easiest ones to pick out. I also said this might end up being a very easy blind taste test video, but this one's also offering some really nice clarity. Yeah, it's definitely got a lot of those classic berry characteristics to it, but a very nice level of clarity in general. Pretty clean for a natural processed Ethiopian coffee. I think I'm still going to place it in 3rd place for right now, though it might grow on me a little bit, as it's growing on me as I'm drinking it. All right, 4th and final cup. Let's give this one a shot. And this one's definitely the most tame of the 4. But it is definitely the wash processed Ethiopian coffee. So this was extremely easy. Now it's just going to be a matter of arranging them in whatever order I find them to be the best. This one's also growing on me. I honestly like all 4 of these coffees so far, but let's give them each one more try, and I'm going to try to place them in a order. It's nice. I feel like maybe some of the other coffees just offer a little bit more sweetness and intensity all around. It's very clean. It's a lot of what you would expect from a wash processed Ethiopian coffee. So maybe by that measure, it's not necessarily my favorite. I'm going to place it in second place for right now. And we'll move these two to this side. And we'll run through them one more time and I will decide which of these coffees is my favorite. So let's see how these two compare. I'm going to be really impressed if the honey processed Colombian coffee actually ends up being my favorite, but for honey processed Colombian coffee, it is actually quite clean. So that's going to be right now my first place. Let's see how it compares to the coffee I put in second place, which I believe is the wash processed Ethiopian. Yeah, I still think I'm happy with my placement of these two coffees. Both are offering really nice sweetness though. Kind of tricky in that. They're very, very close. I think I'm just giving the slight edge to the Colombian coffee off this first impression, assuming it is a Colombian coffee. This one right here, I believe I thought was the Kenyan coffee. I'm probably going to move that one down to fourth as I'm feeling a little bit more of the savory aspects to it. Definitely the Kenyan coffee though. And I can feel a slight bit of fermentiness to this one, but I feel like I'm actually quite happy with the placement of these coffees. So I'm going to leave them right there for right now. And let's make some guesses. So the Bombe, I thought was this one right here. And then the Kenya, put in fourth for right now. And then we have the Keramo, I believe was second place. And then the Luis Anibal, interestingly enough, honey processed Colombian, ends up in first place. All right, let's see how we did. I am 100% confident. And the first one I said was the Kenya coffee, so it should say K at the bottom for Kenya. And no doubt about that. Definitely offering a fair bit of savory characteristics to it. From the forefront, there was a fair bit of brightness, which definitely gave it away as the Kenyan coffee. All right, next up, I said that this one was the natural processed Ethiopian coffee, so it should say NE. Once again, very confident on this. Yep. And the berry components and the fermentiness definitely gave this one away, though really nice clarity on this one. I'm very interested to see how this one's going to turn out. Of these four coffees, if I'm being completely honest, I think this is the one that I have the most hope for, given just how clean it was from this first impression. I imagine if it keeps going this way, then it might end up being my favorite of these four coffees. Let's move on. This one right here I said was the wash processed Ethiopian coffee, the Keramo. So this right here should say WE, and it does. And I think, if anything, I've said before, I don't necessarily love reviewing wash processed Ethiopian coffees because at times they can be ever so slightly underwhelming. Unless they're truly amazing, it's just going to kind of end up muddled in so many of the wash processed Ethiopian coffees we've all had in our lives. It's really nice. It's offering some really wonderful fruit components to it with great clarity. So it has some potential. This first impression was really positive as it beat a couple of coffees that I quite like. But even then, I'm just kind of interested to see if maybe it improves from this point going forward. And that means that, interestingly, in first place, we have the Luis Anibal, so the Colombia. It should say C for Colombia. And it does. I think that's a huge surprise, actually, because in the past, I haven't necessarily loved any processed Colombian coffees. The only Colombian coffees I've enjoyed have been wash processed Colombian coffees or very interesting Diego Bermudez processed coffees. Nonetheless, this is a honey processed pink bourbon, and it offered tremendous clarity for it being a honey processed Colombian coffee. So that's a huge testament to this coffee roaster, but a very easy 4 for 4. And I don't think I really have too much to add to this blind taste test video. As always, there will be a review for each and every one of these coffees coming out in the near future, so stay tuned for those. But I'm going to leave this video at that. If you guys enjoy these blind taste test rankings videos, give this video a like. As I always say, they're the most fun to do, but they take the most amount of work. But I'll continue to do them because I just enjoy doing them as much as I do. If you're enjoying the content in general, give this video a like, subscribe if not already subscribed. But this right here has been a blind taste test rankings video featuring 4 coffees from Banibeans. Thank you for watching.